now we're going to see the charge IC. So the charge IC, as you can see, is always you will find it near to the power jack and near to the power component. As you can see, this is the power component or the protection component. This is current sense resistor, and this is the charge IC. So if there is a problem in the charge IC, the laptop cannot be operated. Okay, the charge IC is the control management IC for the power, especially in the power circuit. Okay, as you can see, around the charge IC we have many components, especially ceramic capacitors. Okay, as you can see, many ceramic capacitors, and also we can find fuses or resistors, etc. So, as you can see, to check the serviceability of the charge IC, you should check the ceramic capacitors around it. If you find any shorted capacitor, means you have a bad charge IC. Okay, so the ceramic capacitor around the charge IC should not be shorted. If you find any shorted capacitor, means the charge IC is bad, you should replace it. Let's see another motherboard, as you can see here. So here, as you can see, this is the connector that is connected directly to the power jack via a cable. Here we have the power component, as you can see. Okay, here this is the battery connector. Normally the charge IC should be here, but let's see the other side. So as you can see, here we have the charge IC in the back side of the power connector. Okay, so this is the charge IC, and here we have the component around it. Always you should focus on the capacitors. Okay, capacitors, using the capacitors you can know whether the IC is good or not. Always you should put the multimeter to the buzzer or continuity option and check the capacitors around the IC. If you find any shorted capacitor, means the IC is bad. You can also touch the IC using your finger. If you feel a hit over the IC, means the IC is bad. As you can see here, also we have another motherboard near to the connector, power jack connector. As you can see, we have here the protection component like a diode, etc. Here this is the battery connector, and here, as you can see, we have the charge IC. As you can see, we have here component around it. We have capacitors. So let's see this motherboard also. This is another motherboard. Of course, I will show you many kind of motherboards in order to go deeper into understanding what I'm seeing. Okay, so here we have the power jack connector, switches, we have the diode, as you can see. Okay, this is the power circuit. Okay, so normally the charge IC should be here next to the power jack, but as you can see, if you don't find it next to the power jack, you should check the battery connector. As you can see, we have the power IC here. Okay, so the power IC is always surrounded by many components, and among these components we have the ceramic capacitors or the PF capacitors, which you can use to determine whether the IC is bad or not. Okay, as I told you before, if you find any shorted capacitor, I mean ceramic capacitor, that means the IC is damaged. Okay, you can also use your finger to check the heat of the IC. If you find any heat over the IC, means the IC should be replaced.